Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Allcott channel. I'm going to be reacting at half-time and then at full-time to Manchester United versus Chelsea. I don't know what the score is right now, but I'm going to find out very, very soon. If you're watching this and you're new and you enjoy the format, then do me a favour, hit that subscribe button and hit the like button as well, and maybe even hit the notification bell if you're an absolute legend. That's up to you. Let's talk about the first half. Don't worry, I'm not going to take too long on it because not much happened. The lineups were, I see what, Solskjaer, brave. Very, very brave with his lineup. Stuck with the lineup from the Newcastle game. Of course, they won that game 4-1, but he knew that this game was going to be completely different. And so far it has been. It's been incredibly boring. But I can explain why that is in just a second. 28 shots in that Newcastle game last week. This week against Chelsea, they know that they need to be careful in how they're going to play. But as time went on, with the amount of rain, the conditions, I think that's one of the big talking points for me is the conditions. Because it really did. Often a bit of rain, that will zip it up. But so much rain in Manchester, it kind of slowed it down. I sound a bit like Ty from Arsenal Fan TV. I promise you, you know, that guy's a genius. It was raining. Anyway, I thought it was brave because what I could see that they were trying to do, if you look at the lineups for Man United, stayed with what they had last week, and the idea is to get Fernandes just to be an attacking outlet, to be the attacking leader of this team, which he is, and I think he thrives in that role. Juan Mata, who I'll talk about in a second, but him to be in those little spaces in between, and then Daniel James on the other side of it, because the way that Chelsea were playing was with a 3-4-3, really. Reece James and Chilwell looking to push on, Azpilicueta and Zuma in a back three with Thiago Silva as well. And so maybe you're able to kind of get the ball in those little lines in between. And Daniel James on that left side, a lot of people not sure about him playing. I'm not sure either, but in terms of his positional play, you know he's going to work really hard for you. And you know he's going to kind of be behind Reece James and to the side of Azpilicueta. So there might be areas of space that he might be able to exploit. For Chelsea, I think with Man United, they're thinking about how to stop Chelsea and maybe do something on the counter-attack. For Chelsea, they're looking to have a bit of a go at Man United. Pulisic starting in this game. The front three looking really good. But that midfield four, I was wondering if they were going to be able to make their way through the spaces in this Man United defence. Because what I thought was, again, really brave by Gunnar Solskjaer, but understandable. And generally in this game, you saw both teams being really cautious. Chelsea as the away team, Man United as the home team who wanted to play on the counter-attack, is that they wanted to allow Maguire and Lindelof to concentrate on the person that they were marking. But if that person moved into space, that they don't go with them. They allow McTominay and Fred, two players that Solskjaer completely trusts, to stay in that position and for him to just concentrate on the ball over the top. And that's what you saw in the first 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes. Every time Jorginho got the ball, and I thought Jorginho was really good in this half, but every time he got the ball, he was looking for that ball over the top to Werner and Havertz. They were both going really quickly. But Maguire was able to concentrate on that way, looking that way and not worrying about if the ball went in front of him, because if he did, McTominay and Fred were there to sort them out, basically. For me, Jorginho has been impressive, and Kante, both of them looking good. Jorginho, actually, if you look at his heat map, in terms of his touches, actually getting forward a lot more than you normally expect him to, especially with some of those moments where throw-ins and bits and pieces like that. He's picking up the balls really high up the pitch. But the problem for Chelsea is they're trying to pick through Man United, and they've got so many players behind the ball. And with those conditions, it really is slowing it up. I think they need to target the central areas a little bit more and back Havertz and Pulisic to be able to get the ball, turn, and do something. Because Havertz hasn't really touched the ball too much. If you look at his heat map at this moment in time, very, very deep. A couple of times in this area here, that's where you want him to get on the ball. But you've got McTominay on him. You've got Fred in that congested area. And so they're struggling a little bit. They've had a lot of the possession, but not created too much. On the other side of it, Man United were waiting and waiting for that opportunity. Bruno Fernandes, he's trying his best. He's picking up the ball all over the pitch. But for me, I think he's trying to find Rashford a little bit too quickly, with too much urgency. What I would love to see in this second half is him and Mata. Normally you see these kind of players really enjoy playing with each other. I think he should be looking to pass the ball to Mata a lot more, because if you look at the positions on the pitch that Mata is getting into, I really like these areas that he moves. Every time I'm looking away from the ball, he's in great areas of space. If they can find him, then they might be able to find that ball to Rashford, because there is space if they move the ball quickly enough. So I'd love to see Fernandes finding Mata a little bit more instead of Rashford. You saw that with Mata's chance. He was just lurking there on the edge of the pitch. He's so intelligent with his movement, but it'll be interesting to see if he stays on the pitch and who goes off for Man United. It's a bit of a cat and mouse game here because out of these two teams, there's so much quality on the bench. Ziyech, Mount, I'm surprised Mount didn't even start in this game. Abraham, Giroud, two strikers you can bring on as well. For Man United, you've got Pogba, Donny van der Beek, Mason Greenwood they might put on. Edison Cavani, of course, could make his debut for Manchester United. So it's a real chess game and it's going to be interesting to see who moves first. Are Chelsea brave enough to go to 4 at the back and get an extra midfielder in the central areas? Because again, I think Havertz is not really doing enough at the moment for me. Not touching the ball enough, not getting on the ball enough, and therefore not getting Werner on the ball enough. Pulisic, I think, was starting to get into it, and I think there's a real place in this game for high-quality dribblers. So, are they brave enough to do that? I think Man United would take a draw, especially after losing their first 2 games at home. So I think it's who's gonna blink first. I think Chelsea might go for it and go to 4 at the back. Put Reece James as a right back, and if they do, that might open more spaces up for Manchester United. But the game plan for Manchester United has worked really, really well so far. All they want is a 1-0 win. I think they might even nick the first goal in here, but my prediction's going to be 1-1. Okay, I'll see you at full time. Bloody hell. Defence is on top. I want to say it's an interesting game, but that would be talking absolute nonsense because it was... Yeah, it was fascinating, but it was a little bit boring as well. And for me, it's a sign of the times, I think. The sign of the times in terms of the Premier League, but a sign of the times in terms of these 2 teams and these 2 managers. Also, I'm intrigued. Let me know in the comments below. What is your outlook when it comes to these 2 teams? Because I was thinking about how I felt about the game, which was, I thought Solskjaer did really well. I liked the substitutions that he made, which I'll get into in a second. Lampard, I thought he was fearful. I thought he was afraid. And am I being fair in saying that? Or is that not fair at all? Let's get into it. I also think it's a sign of times in terms of the Premier League. So many goals in the first few games. And I think there's a lot of defences that feel creaky and that teams don't trust at the moment. And in particular, Man United and Chelsea are 2 of those teams. And I think going into this game for both teams, it was a must not lose game. Simple as that. I was hoping for a little bit more positivity from Chelsea, in particular in the second half, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it at all. In terms of the substitutions that happened, because to be honest, there wasn't that much else that happened. Rashford had a shot right near the end. Thiago Silva with a fantastic block. I thought he did have a really good game to Cavani, who came on. But the substitutions, Cavani and Pogba came on, going against what I said at half-time. I would have liked to see Mata stay on the pitch a little bit longer, but I understood what Solskjaer was trying to do there, because I think having a ball carrier in Pogba on the pitch was of use. Mata, Fernandes is a better version of Mata, so if you can allow him to be there, then great. But also, Fernandes was allowed that ability to still roam free and get on the ball in different areas. And he did that, but he didn't really offer anything in an attacking sense at all. Because Chelsea were so... not negative, but cautious. Really, really careful with what they were doing. For Chelsea, this is where I say fearful, Frank, because... in terms of the changes, I was calling for a 4 at the back. Now, Chelsea, in the first game of the season, if I've got this right, I think they might have played 5 at the back. But apart from that, they've played 4 at the back. But this game, I think he was nervous about Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva's kind of introduction into the Premier League. And they wanted to use the strengths of him. Both teams did that, to be fair. Man United did the exact same thing. Lindelof and Maguire looked so much better. But the Chelsea back 3 as well looked quite solid because they were all... not being sort of put one-on-one against their respective attackers that they're playing up against. And you were seeing the strengths of these players being able to utilise instead of the possible weaknesses. Thiago Silva in terms of, organising a defence and then seeing the danger in the penalty box. For the likes of Maguire and Lindelof, winning their headers, playing defensively in terms of being on the front foot. And having that security in terms of McTominay and Fred in their teams. But Chelsea, with the changes that they made... I think they just could have been so much braver. The front 3 were changed. You saw the change of Werner and Havertz and Abraham and Mount came on. Like I said, if you really wanted to go for this game and if you were really a fluent team, which I think we can all understand that they're not right now, then you go and do that. But Lampard didn't want to do that. He wanted to get out there with a point at the very least, ideally a clean sheet. And if you look at the fixtures that they're going to play after this, the next 3 are quite nice. I think then they got Spurs after that. And then they've got an okay run. So I think for Lampard and Chelsea, it was an idea that it was being fearful over over the fact that they weren't fluent. And because they're not fluent just yet, instead of going forward and going for it, there's enough F's in that. And then they were just looking to get a clean sheet and get out of there. And that's highlighted by the stats at the end of the game. If you have a look at this, 6 shots at the end of this game. In the second half, just 3 shots. 3 shots in the first half as well. All in all, Man United I thought were much better in the second half. But I go back to that idea of my outlook on Chelsea and my outlook on Man United. Because am I being overly fair or overly kind of fruitful to... How many F's am I going to say today? It's like every word I can say is an F. Towards Solskjaer. Because I thought he got it right. And I like the moves that he made. But am I giving him more gratitude for what he's done when this is Manchester United, who really should be going on and dominating any game that they play at home? But they were concerned themselves. They couldn't lose 3 games on the trot at home. That would have been a real problem for them. I think the thing to remember actually with Man United as well is how good they've been away. I think it might have been 11 competitive games on the trot they've won away from home. But I just thought tactically, Solskjaer, give him credit where it's due. I said on the podcast, on the Jaffin podcast, I'm not sure about him as a coach, but for me personally, the way I will run this channel and the way I'll talk about football, I'll take it game by game. And for me, I felt like Lampard had more available to him to really have a go at Man United, but I don't think he trusts his team right now. He certainly doesn't trust his defence. I thought Zuma was a bit nervous at times. Elsewhere, I think he's got players that he trusts defensively. I think there's going to be moments where Jorginho and Kante, as a 2 there, if you think it was the exact same for the likes of Manchester United. Let's have a look at it here. You can see that kind of McTominay and Fred, and then it was Kante and Jorginho. So the players who play in the pockets in between that, they're going to be really crucial in terms of creating overloads on either side or getting on the ball. And for me, Chelsea didn't offer that in any way, shape or form. But someone like Mason Mount, if he'd gone to 4 at the back, might have allowed you to do that and to still kind of retain the players that you had moving forward. I just thought it was a little bit, I don't want to say cowardly, I thought it was hesitant. But I can understand that is where Chelsea are at right now in terms of the sort of stage of the sort of introduction of a lot of these players. Some of whom, Edward Mendy's, it looks like he's been there for a long, long time. Great save at the end of the game. Obviously, nearly gave an own goal away. But I think you found a really cracking goalkeeper there. Silva looks so much more comfortable in a 3. Is he good enough to play in the Premier League? Has he got the physical attributes to play in a 4 here? I think you can do it. Because I think you can still keep N'Golo Kante and Jorginho in the side and basically play like Man United played. I think you can do that, but they didn't. So Chelsea fans, let me know what you think about this. Am I being unfair, or do you think am I bang on that Frank was a little bit fearful in the way that he's playing here, and that he needs to really go for it? Because I think you've got so many attacking assets there that you should go and use them. And I think Man United, to a point, were there for the taking. They were going to play on the counter-attack. That's the problem. It really was cat and mouse. Because if you do go for it, then you allow the likes of Rashford, likes of Daniel James, or second half, when you move it about Edison Cavani, to have that space. And that's what Lampard was worried about. Man of the match for me. I'm amazed that Gary Neville didn't talk about him. And I think he's been brilliant for about 6 months now. Fred. I thought Fred was brilliant. I like those 2 there, and I think the problem we've got here is what's Van der Beek going to do? How does Van der Beek get a place in the starting lineup? I'm not sure when that's going to happen. I'm not sure where he's going to play. I mean, the fortunate thing I think is that there are enough games that he'll play some games, but these big games are the games that he wants to play, and you've spent a lot of money on him, and I'm not sure where you're going to fit him in. Because I think he wants to give Bruno Fernandes that free reign. My man of the match was Fred. I thought he was absolutely everywhere. I'm interested to see how many times he won the ball, actually. Let's have a quick look at that. Look at his heat map. Absolutely everywhere in terms of getting on the ball. Amazing stuff. Tackles 2, interceptions 3, clearances 2, just fouls 2, aerial ground duels 1, 9. Amazing. I thought he had a really, really strong game in terms of breaking it up. And also, every time I looked at his positioning, he was covering for other players as well, which is some of the stuff that you don't see happening a lot of the time when it comes to players on the pitch. We're concentrating on the attacking players. But as a centre midfielder myself, I kind of spot those things. And I thought Fred was brilliant. Let me know who your man of the match was. Let me know what you think about Frank and Solskjaer. Is the pressure off for either of those? Is it building a bit more for Frank? Am I being unfair? Let me know. It's all about having a discussion. I'll be in the comments so we can have a chat down there. If you enjoyed this video, hit the subscribe button. It really, really helps me. I'm trying to get myself to 60,000 subscribers as soon as possible. So, you know, if you feel like being kind and generous, then just click on that button. It really does. It does sort me out. Hit the like button as well. It gets it moving. I will see you next time on the James Allcott channel. Goodbye.